Hi guys, Nick Jennison for Guitar Interactive, and we are in the Hendrix and Handel Museum, and it's my pleasure to be sat with Yngwie Malmsteen. Yngwie, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Man, I got to tell you before we go, 14-year-old me is internally screaming with excitement to be sat here with you right now, man. And I can't think of a more appropriate guitar player to be sat in the Hendrix and Handel Museum, man.
Thank you.
How'd you like it?
It's superb. It's very cool, man. Vibe Central.
Yeah, you're telling me.
Yeah.
It's awesome. So listen, we've had a sneak preview of the new album, Blue Lightning.
Right.
Sounds killer. I think a lot of people are going to be very surprised. Is that right? So it's a blues album, yeah?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bluesy thing, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And Foxy Lady is track number 2.
Oh, yeah.
No less. Sounds killer.
Yeah.
Playing's amazing.
Thank you.
As per usual. So, I mean, a lot of people don't really know about this aspect of your playing, you know, this kind of killer blues rock sensibility you've got going on. Do you know, I mean, how did that all start for you? Did the blues thing come first, or did the neoclassical thing come first?
Well, that's a good question. What happened was I grew up in a family of classically trained people, opera singers, violinists, so on. And on my 5th birthday, I got a guitar. I was the youngest kid. And I didn't really start playing until I saw Hendrix smashing up a guitar on TV. I saw it on TV, I was 7. 7 years old, not 17, 7. And I started playing that same day, basically. And I was really getting to playing, I guess bluesy stuff, because I heard blues, what's it called, Blues Breakers. I heard them.
Yeah.
That was the record I heard. And then I did Purple Fireball when I was 8 years old. So I learned all that stuff. Just a little kid. I'm literally a little, like baby, like this. And I got very sort of like almost frustrated with the pentatonic scales, I didn't know why. I just thought, well, this got to be something else. And so I heard Genesis selling in about £1. And that sort of opened the doors for me to go to my mother's record collection with all the Bach records and all the Vivaldi and Tchaikovsky and Beethoven. And I listened to all that, and I became I kept the Marshall stacks and the smoke machines, but the melodic content came from the Baroque classical music. Then I heard Nicola Paganini.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah.
So my influences are classical violin, mainly Paganini and Vivaldi and Tchaikovsky work, very strong violin work.
Yeah. I mean, you can tell that.
But the blues was always there. Yeah. So I would always break into do like a blues thing, and people go, "Hey, you should do a blues album, man. You should do." Back in, whatever, way back, and I didn't do it, but then Ed from Mascot Records came to me about a year ago and just suggested me to do this. I said, well, okay, let's try it. And I started thinking about it, which songs would I like to do, because he said he wanted me to do mostly other people's songs, and I wrote some songs too, but so some of them were very obvious. Foxy Lady. I did Little Mo's Lover too.
Yeah.
But that's on I think it's a bonus track.
Okay.
Yeah. And Smoke on the Water and whatever. But it was other songs like the Beatles song and stuff like this that just I liked it, but I didn't know, what it's gonna be like, whatever, the voice and all that stuff. So I tried it out and it was good, and I went on tour. I was on a tour with World on Fire album, and I went back on the studio, and I went back out again and made the record during it passed about a year. But it didn't take a year to make the record, but it was about a year passing.
Yeah.
So I go back, I do one verse of vocals on ZZ Top song, and then I do another verse 2 months later,
Yeah.
So it was done in a very fresh way in that sense.
No, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds killer. It's very different to World on Fire.
Yes.
I mean, but the voice sounds great. It sounds fabulous. That's something you've been quite vocal about, pun intended, quite vocal about recently, is not working with singers and just doing it all yourself, So, I mean, what is it that made you, you've spoken about this at length, but just for our listeners, what is it that made you decide to start singing your own material rather than bringing singers in?
Well, it's I'm trying to come up with smart ways of saying this, because people tend to always misunderstand what I'm trying to say with this. But I was in a band, I was in Sweden first when I was a kid, I did all this normal stuff. I was a singer then.
Yeah.
Then I came to America in 1982, and I recorded an album with Steeler. Then I formed the band with Graham Bonnet and did the Alcatraz thing. Then I got a solo deal. In 1984, I started my own solo career, and I like to point out solo career. And what I do with that is that I write the music, I write the parts, I write the vocals, melodies, and I write the lyrics, and I write everything. All the parts, the drum parts, keyboard parts. And I say, you can do this, I want you to do this, I want you to do this and do this, and here's your paycheck.
Yeah, so it's like being a composer in that sense.
Exactly the same, you know, and I would hire them as musicians and singers, you know, not to come in as co-write with me or be a co-anything. Because they're just not the way I work. I work like a painter or an author, whatever, or a classical composer, if you will.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it seems that the keyboard player and the bass player and the drummer seems to be okay with it, but the singer's not.
Okay.
So it's always seems to me like the singer seems to have a little bit of a, well, why shouldn't I write the lyrics and why shouldn't I be the star? Well, I said, listen, you can be writing the lyrics and you could be the star, of course, but not in this.
Yeah, in your own thing.
Because this one, I'm doing the lyrics and I'm doing the vocal lines and I'm writing the songs. Mm-hmm. And that is usually being a little bit of a rub, you know, as far as their vision goes.
Yeah.
And I don't, listen, I wish all of them all the best and all the best of luck and all the success. I'm not saying anything else in that. Yeah. It's just that I have a very clear vision of what I want to do. And so not so much what I want to do, but it's what I almost feel like I have to do it. You know, it's like, it's like a drive that this is something I need to do. And so that's what it's about, you know.
No,
and so last time I said 12 years or something, no, 8 years. I just decided to sing everything myself, you know.
Well, you know, man, it's obviously working for you. It sounds great. Now, we just recently got back from the NAMM show and we spoke to a lot of great guitar players. Right. And there was a bunch of guys who, they all seem to say the same thing. They all seem to say, well, I'm not really into the fast guitar thing, apart from Yngwie. I love Yngwie. Mm-hmm. So why do you think you get a pass where all these other guys don't get a look in? What is it about what you do that all these guys love? I'm the same, for what it's worth.
Oh, okay. I don't really know why that is. But I do know that the way I approach the instrument and approach anything to do with my music, I put a lot of passion into it. And if it's fast, if it's slow, it's all kind of like all in. It's not just one or the other. It's sort of like inside of itself. So difficult to explain. I think, to quote Nicola Paganini, one must feel strongly to make others feel strongly. And I'm very passionate about what I do, and I think that that's just something that you know it will, you know, come through somehow. Yeah. And maybe that's what they sense. I don't know.
No, absolutely. I mean, the answer a lot of these guys gave was that, you know, unlike a lot of these guys, you have soul and you have fire and passion in your playing. You know, and it feels dangerous. It feels kind of like
thank you.
In a good way.
Thank
but
you
absolutely, man. You know, but I mean, it's the other thing with that is, you know, about being true to yourself. You know, how important do you feel it is to be honest and kind of true to stick to your guns as an artist?
I think that's probably the only thing that's important.
Yeah.
And, you know, by doing that, you also take a lot of risks.
Yeah.
You know, and I think, which is really quite remarkable, I've been thinking about this a lot since I've been doing all these interviews. I've been doing this for a long, long time, man. Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, a long time. And I'm still doing this, and I'm still doing great interviews with guys like you. Like, well, I'm still doing this.
Thank you very much.
Which is amazing, you know. I mean, if you think about it, because most people, they come and go like this, you know. Yeah. That's the most common thing.
Yeah.
But with exceptions, of course. There's some great people that have stayed for a long time. But, I kind of like get blown away by that sometimes because I never really compromised.
Yeah.
I always did what I felt was the right thing. And it's a good thing.
Absolutely, no. I think that's certainly what I love about your work is that it's always like uncompromisingly honest, and you know you're kind of you have a vision and you stick to it, you know. And again, it was very interesting to see you drop a blues album, but I know that's a huge part of your musicianship. So even though it's a kind of a left turn musically, it's still very true to you as a player and as a musician.
Yeah, that's sort of like kind of like I want to make that clear to the label too when they sort of asked for this. I'd love to do it, but trust me, it's not going to be a traditional album per se, because I don't think that. I mean, if I did that, it wouldn't be me, you know. Yeah. And if I'm going to put something out under my name, it has to be the way I feel things should be done. So I think it's bluesy. But then again, if you listen to some song like the title track, for instance, which I wrote, the solo is bluesy as hell, but it's also a lot of other stuff inside of it, you know, that might not be necessarily blues.
Yeah, it's full of those trademarks, you know. But again, it's an interesting one because, you know, there's a very trademark. I know this because I you know, try to teach some of your stuff to my students, and I try to teach them how to kind of get inside your head. And it's very difficult because it's not really a case of boiling it down to a few licks. You have a style, but it's really broad, and there's so much stuff in there. You know, every time you hear a kind of a solo with that trademark Yngwie fingerprint, it's always different, and there's always things in there you go, I haven't heard him do that before. How do you keep it fresh?
By improvising.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's a great question, because that is, I think, the key for me to do what I'm doing, and I keep on doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
In fact, it's the fact that I improvise everything. It's always improvised. The solos in the studio are improvised. The solos on the stage are improvised. And it's dangerous, it's risky, and it's exciting.
Yeah. I think that's probably what makes it exciting,
you know,
to the listener,
because if we just do the same thing, although, I mean, of course, you could say this, the vein is the same thing.
Yeah.
You may say that.
Yeah.
But, or maybe not even. I mean, it's just, I did on this album, I know for a fact, I can't remember now because I listened to it clearly, which song it was, but I know that I did some, I wouldn't call it jazz, but some runs where it was like chromatic shifts.
Yeah.
Inside of the licks, you know what I mean? Where it's like, it's almost like a blues lick with chromatic up and chromatic down. And that gives it almost like a jazzy feel. That was something I didn't even think about it, but I heard it later. Oh shit, I did that, you know. So it's I like to take risks, and hopefully it lands, you know, the right way.
Man, well, it always seems to land from my perspective. You know, it sounds pretty killer to me. So, I mean, just moving slightly to the left, you've been doing a lot of work with the Generation Axe tour.
Yeah.
Recently, how have you been enjoying playing with?
Been a lot of fun.
Magic. Any particular memories you have of it?
Always.
Anything you can share?
It's really, I mean, every night me and Steve do Black Star together, which is just amazing. And then towards the end we did the Bohemian Rhapsody with guitarist parts.
I saw that.
It took a while for us to get it down. I mean, it was a lot of interesting vocal parts we did on the guitars. And Steve put that together. So it's kudos to him, you know. And I really enjoyed that because it was challenging, you know. And also the thing that's challenging for me is that the discipline of time in these things, because you got to stay within a certain frame of time. Sound checks are very short, and there's a lot of waiting around too. So yeah, it's a lot of challenges, but it's great. I love the guys, and we're having a great time.
Man, well, the videos, speak for themselves. The playing's killer, and you can see that you're all having fun, and you're all good friends, and it's got a real positive feel about it. It doesn't feel forced in any way.
No,
love it to death. So I got to ask you a few questions about the playing, if that's cool. Now, one of the things, again, going back to recreating the Yngwie sound, something that I've wrestled with a little bit is the tone, a little bit, because there are lots of guys out there who have the Marshall and they have the overdrive pedal, and they have the 8s and they have the Strat, but it's not, something's missing. Is it the pick attack, or is it the left hand? Is there something that you're consciously doing to create that? No?
Nothing really.
Nothing really.
I always play with my ears, and I always listen to what like the most important thing is the sound, of course.
Yeah. And
it was so funny because I did an earlier interview today, and the guys asked me, "Hey, do you ever do upstrokes?" I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I started playing some stuff, and I said, "Oh yeah, this is actually an upstroke here." Okay, And I remember when I first went to Japan, 1983, and I've been playing for a long time already then. And they started me, "How do you hold your pick?" And I looked down like this.
Yeah.
I never analyzed anything that I did. The only thing I worried about was what it sounded like. Yeah. And if I wanted a certain the vibrato, whatever, I mean, I just listened to it and went from that. I never really kind of looked at what I did on the neck and shit like this. Yeah, it's more, so it's, oh man, driven by the ear. Yeah. Sorry, I was a bit distracted there, that was killer. Now talking about the vibrato, the setup on your guitar, obviously it's been very well documented, but the setup's really specific. I think what a lot of people don't realise is that it's an 8 set on the top, and you got some really heavy string, well, comparatively like heavy strings on the bottom. 11, yeah, so like a 48 kind of... 46. 46, yeah. So it's pretty heavy, and the action is stacked.
real high.
Yeah, I guess. I never thought about that.
Yeah, I'm just taking a look at it now and I'm going, I don't think I could play that. That looks pretty. That looks pretty high.
Yeah.
But what is it about that kind of setup that you like?
Well, what I realized very early on was that the gauge of the string is not determining the sound or the sustain, but the action does.
Yeah.
Okay. So if the action is low, you can have 11s and it's still going to be a dead sound because the string doesn't vibrate above the fretboard. Now, if we bend from F sharp to from C sharp to E, like F sharp is a pop. That's a lot of notes.
Yeah, it's 4 frets. It's huge.
More.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Then why should you have like a really heavy string when you can get the same sound on 8? However, these, if you hit the 38, for instance, a 38 of a normal bass string, it would sound like doing. I don't like that. I like a direct sound, like. That's why I use the 300-watt cabinets too.
Yeah.
Because it just punch, like, So and that same thing with the pickups. They don't have distortion inside of these. These are very clean.
Yeah, they're quite low output pickups. I don't think people realize that.
Yeah, these are the Seymour Duncans,
Yeah, so are they based on a particular Strat of yours?
No.
Particular favorite?
No. The previous brand that I used before, it was called Aegis 3, because that was the re-edition of Humbucking Strat 3.
Yeah.
Because I said, back in the day when Van Halen was like, everybody was doing this, put double coils in.
Yeah.
I said, I don't like that. Why don't you take 2 coils and do it like this?
Yeah, perfect.
I said, okay. And they said, and they made the one pickup and gave it to me. And I said, I don't like this. Okay, they made another one called Aegis 2. I don't like that either. And then they made Aegis 3, third one. I said, well, this one's not very good. Well, it's the best we can do.
Right.
With Seymour Duncan, I did 59 different versions.
That's insane.
They would give me another pickup. I said, a little more like this. Okay, no problem. 2 days later, at FedEx, different wind. And we did this for a year straight.
Wow.
So these pickups are 3 different pickups. Actually, this one's different magnets than this one, different winds and so on. And it all depends on where the pickup is on the guitar as well. Where if you put this pickup here, it might not sound as good as vice versa.
Yeah.
And so I really refined that with those guys, and they're really. And I even told them that I wanted the cover to be a specific white, almost like a gray white.
Yeah.
So like it has to be exactly like this, and they would like make plastic samples and send them to me and say, no, like this. So these pickups are really.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Man, and of course anybody who wants those pickups, you can get those from Seymour Duncan.
Sure you can.
Fabulous.
Or you buy the model has them already.
Oh, so the model has the.
Yes.
Fabulous.
Yeah.
That's great.
And
man.
by the way,
it was the first signature model. The first Fender signature model, the Yngwie Strat, the first one.
They had
released?
the Margios.
Yeah. Oh no, but it was the first signature Strat. Was the Yngwie Strat? Is that right?
That was the first one.
Yeah.
And you know what's happening this year?
Go on.
The 30th anniversary Yngwie Malmsteen signature model from Fender.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
It's coming out. So the special model from Custom Shop.
Very cool.
He has the Hendrix neck, the one without skunk stripe, the web cap.
Yeah.
And it's gonna have that and different colors.
Very cool.
Yes.
Do you know what colors we're gonna get?
We're gonna get this. Canned apple red.
Very nice.
Sonic blue.
Beautiful.
Like the one on Odyssey. And burgundy mist.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. Well, sign me up for a candy apple red one. I'll have one of those. It's beautiful. And do we get one with the play loud? Are they going to put that on there? Or?
Well, they made that one duck version.
Yeah.
That they did that already. They did one, but they don't make them anymore.
No. Very cool indeed, man.
Thank you.
Beautiful, man. Thank you very much.